explanation or anything, or?
Oh, I spoke too soon. God damn it.
Still doing it?
Yeah. Motherfuckers.
Oh, jeez.
God damn it. I'm still going to have to share it to the damn page. Rat bastards. All right.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Welcome, everybody, to Dueling Aces for your Eclipse, April 8th, 2024. As you guys can clearly tell, new intro, new layout, new background. The guys will be joining in here shortly. I, of course, have Sam Nelson from Birds of the Gridiron, who's also joining us, as we were also talking Wrestlemania through the whole weekend. So we're super excited we're covering multiple things. Zolt has a fantastic NCAA format piece that will just blow your minds coming up here right as he gets on in closely about 45 minutes or so. So sit back, relax, grab a glass, grab a snack, kick back, and enjoy the ride, because we definitely have a lot to go over for a two-nighter for WrestleMania. Sam, you and I were just literally discussing about Logan Paul specifically, and why they're letting him have so much big main spotlight so soon. That, me personally, I can see by the format storytelling, he has so much work to do. I personally think he needs to get the step back. He needs to go down with NXT. And Bruiser, of course, disagrees. He likes what he sees. And speaking of Bruiser, here he is.
Shut up, Bruiser.
You're not suds. You don't get to say those things to me.
well, I'm getting you back for what you got me a few weeks ago. I had to get my revenge. I had to finish my story and get revenge.
That's not how that works.
So we were just saying that it is all about the social media nowadays and the money that he's throwing at WWE.
Who? What are we talking about?
Logan Paul, and what Sam was even just saying about how the Taylor Swift thing with the NFL. It's all big social media.
That's fine, but he's generating views and content for the WWE, and you complained and bitched in the chat last night about him. I got no problem with Logan Paul. None. You know why? Go back and watch that match with Rey Mysterio in Saudi Arabia where he saved Rey from breaking his neck. That earned my respect right there.
All right.
Okay, so
go ahead, Sam.
Okay, so I do agree with Bruiser on that regard, because he did basically save Rey Mysterio's whole career, because that could have been really, really bad in a whole different bunch of ways. And like I was saying before we started the stream, I understand what Logan Paul's purpose for the WWE is. He generates them revenue, views, and a different aspect to how things are looked at. Just like this is why the WWE has been bringing in guys like him, Bad Bunny. They're bringing in a new demographic of fans. The only thing the only critique, like I was saying to George, when it comes to his wrestling, is right now, in my eyes, he's very good. He's a very good spot wrestler. When he has his spots, he is great.
He's a great heel. Look at him. Look at what he did with. If Randy Orton says, if you're handpicked by Randy Orton and he says, I want to work with you.
It's that's a big respect thing right there, because Randy Orton, we know who that is. That's
Randy Orton handpicked Logan Paul to work with at WrestleMania. Handpicked. It wasn't like, hey, we're going to build around this. No, Randy Orton handpicked him.
Yeah.
And so when you have that and you create this whole story around a set of brass knuckles, something as innocuous as a set of brass knuckles, and it works, and the people are into it, and they're buying it, and they're booing. Pro wrestling isn't a dirty word anymore, boys.
Oh, it's not.
The era of sports entertainment is over. This is what you got the last 2 days at WrestleMania. Hold on. What you got the last 2 days at WrestleMania was what should have happened in the evolution from the golden era of NXT from 2013 to about 2017, when Triple H was running NXT, and then all those guys would have come up to the main roster. What you got in 2024, 7 years too late, was what should have happened in 2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got guys with psychology again. We're so used to the goofy Kevin Dunn camera angles and the goofy Bridgeport Pritchard storytelling and the dumb Vince McMahon rewrites over and over again, that an actual story that blurs the lines between reality and fiction, where you're like, I really hate The Rock, but he does good stuff. Oh, it's fake because he's just trying to make himself look good after he beat the hell out of Cody on Monday night and smeared his blood on a title, but he's got to make himself look good as a corporate stooge. You're blurring that line. And I'm here for it. I'm here. I sat in front of the TV with my legs crossed and watched that entire main event like I was 12 years old again. It's okay to be a fan of professional wrestling, but it's okay to get sucked back into it again. Like this cynical tribalism BS, I'm so done with. I'm so done with all the dirt sheets on social media calling out, well, WWE does this or AEW is terrible for this. Shut up and just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. Because you have a man who's in charge of the largest wrestling promotion in the world.
Yeah.
And he used to be one of the boys. He still is one of the boys. And the fact that Paul Heyman stood in that ring, arguably one of the greatest minds in professional wrestling, one of the greatest disruptors in professional wrestling, stood in that ring Friday night being inducted into the Hall of Fame and said the leadership that was so sorely needed in this company is here, and I will forever be a Paul Levesque guy. Triple H got double rubber stamped this weekend.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I stayed up to watch
He has been my favorite wrestler for forever. I was a Triple H guy when everybody hated him. I've loved Triple H for a very long time. I think he's one of the greatest.
I don't disagree with that at all. 100%.
And I'm glad that, I hate the term, he got his flowers, but to see so many people in the industry coming out and saying, he's the guy to lead the future. He's the guy. He's the guy. That to me says more than anything.
When they first came out with NXT and they said this was Triple H's baby, I watched NXT like it was a religion.
NXT was amazing.
I said it was absolutely awesome. And I said, and when they showed you, hey, These guys are in an actual classroom setting on the college campus. They are really learning. They are learning about camera blocking. They are learning about,
They're learning. Yeah, they're learning the aspects of being in the ring and being on a televised product. But the thing that they were really learning was psychology. There are 5 programs that happened in NXT, 2 of which happened on the main roster that I wish would have happened on the main roster. That would have been phenomenal storytelling, because they would have reenacted it and it would have been to a larger audience. Shinsuke and Joe, Shinsuke and Bobby Roode, Finn Balor and Joe, Bailey and Sasha, which they did, Charlotte and Sasha, which they did, but the other one that really wasn't talked about was Sasha and Becky.
Okay.
In NXT. Think about all the great tag matches you saw in NXT. DIY versus American Alpha. DIY versus FTR. The Vaudevillains versus Alexa Bliss was managing him at the time. Murphy,
I can't remember.
Something in Murphy. Connor and Murphy, something in Murphy.
Oh.
Yeah, George, look that up. I can't remember for the life of me.
But remember the Ascension in NXT?
Yes.
The Ascension was amazing in NXT. They made him a joke when they brought him up to the main roster.
And they did the same thing with American Alpha, too.
Yes.
Wesley Blake and Buddy Murphy.
Yeah, Blake and Murphy. And they were managed by Alexa Bliss.
Alexa Bliss, yep.
Yes.
There was so much talent in that early class. And what's funny is, so I was talking to a buddy of mine. I was talking about one of my really good friends, Joey. He lives in Boston. We talk maybe like once every couple of months, but it's usually for like an hour and a half, and we just talk about wrestling, because that's what we bonded over, was wrestling and role playing. And him and I probably had multiple hour-long conversations this weekend. I was talking to him yesterday in the afternoon before WrestleMania started, and I said, I have a thought. And he goes, "What's that?" I said, "Seth got hurt last night. Legitimately hurt. You can see it in the tag match. Whatever he did to his knee before, he did it again and made it worse.
Yep.
Because that thing swelled up like a balloon. You could see it under the pad and the tights."
Right.
I said, he's going away for a while. Becky's going away too. That's why she lost to Rhea. And her losing to Rhea was the right thing. However, I said, here's my thought. Here's how I'd book it. Drew and Seth are first out. You have Punk, who's doing the commentary, cost Drew the match. Seth goes over. Seth is laying there selling. Damian Priest cashes in. Now, the only thing they did was flip-flop the ending.
Right.
Drew went over to get his moment, and I'm all for it. They had that moment in the ring. Punk screwed him. Damian cashed in, and now we have 3 storylines out of it, don't we?
Yep.
Did you see the meme that CM Punk posted today?
No, I had not seen anything.
He posted the shirt that Drew McIntyre did with Drew McIntyre's face over the dude at the gravestone and pointed at the gravestone and had CM.
Oh,
yes, I saw it.
Yeah, okay,
so CM Punk posted it, but it's his face and Drew's face is on the gravestone.
Gravestone. Yep, I did see that. Yeah, that's right. I did see that.
So,
Adam's right, though. Priest is. Yeah, I don't think Priest had to cash in that briefcase. So it was just a matter of, when. And it's like, hey, guess what? It's WrestleMania. It's happening whether you like it or not.
I'm glad that he cashed that in. You know what else I'm glad about? Do you guys see the advertisements for a pay-per-view in June that's coming back?
I don't know if I did.
King of the Ring.
Oh yeah, the King of the Ring and the Queen of the Ring. Yeah,
They're doing King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring.
they're doing a King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring. And Kelly was actually even surprised. She goes, "A Queen of the Ring." I said, "Do you know
The
how many
women.
women are on this roster?" I said,
Women.
"There's almost as many women as there are the guys now." I said,
Yes.
"That has grown exponentially so much that it's about time that they actually did have their own. They've gotten their Royal Rumble. It's like, what else can you do? They have their Elimination Chamber. This is just the next big thing. I'm looking forward to it. There is the demon.
It's not going back on. It's not going back on.
Unbelievable. That light has been on the
Crap.
whole time.
The People's Champ has arrived.
Who?
The Rock.
Oh, is he out on Raw?
He's coming out right now. I may be ahead of you.
Yeah, you probably are because we're on.
You're like 30. You might be 5-10 seconds ahead of me.
Yeah,
I like that. I like that line in the Cody promo of the undesirable, the undeniable, the undisputed.
Nope.
Yeah,
And
I hate that stupid belt that The Rock's walking out with. You know why? Because that's like Mom said I could have a belt too.
Yeah, I was not
wise man said I could
happy
have a
with
belt
that.
too.
I hated that fact that it was supposed to be about Muhammad Ali's induction, and yes, you were given the credit thing, but to sit there and go, yeah, you get a belt, he gets a belt, it's a
George, can I admit something to you?
Shoot.
I already thought that Muhammad Ali was in the Hall of Fame along like 20 years ago.
So did
in the
I.
Hall of Fame.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, when I saw his name on the list, I was like, okay. Now, don't get me wrong. Everybody kind of pulled an Adam Wissinger on the class. At least what Adam's doing today on the Hall of Fame class of.
Go ahead. He's not here.
I know, but he's in the chat. I'm just waiting for him to like pop up.
So
no, he's gonna jump in the stream for 10 seconds, just like do something and just bounce.
He can't. He might dookie his shorts. Hey, I'll admit it. I dookied mine on the way to work this morning. I got off the exit at 271 where I work, and I was like, nope, I'm just gonna turn around, go back home. And texted my work while I was going up, getting back on the highway. I was like, hey, use it as sick day. Had a stomach issue on the way to work.
Man.
It's bad. It's bad.
It's been going around. But anyway, everybody kind of crapped all over the Hall of Fame class of this year. And I realized that it was a safe class. It really was. They played it safe with a lot of the inductions. Leah Maivia. But to be honest, if you're going to induct Leah Maivia, then you need to induct Christine Jarrett too, because she helped Jerry Jarrett set up the Memphis territory in the 60s and the 70s. The fact that they put in the U.S. Express tells me that Jim Cornette didn't feel like flying up to Philadelphia to induct the Midnight Express, because that's where the Midnight Express won the NWA tag titles for the first time. That was the night that the Horsemen left WCW, or I mean, what was Crockett at the time?
Yeah.
That you could have had a banger of a class, but to put Paul Heyman in Philadelphia is a no-brainer, obviously. And he should have been in a long time ago, but
timing is everything. And
the speech,
they were saving it.
Yeah.
But the speech he gave Friday night was amazing.
Yes,
absolutely.
When he looked at Stephanie and said, "You married the wrong Paul," I was cracking up.
So was
and he brought out the old ECW outfit that he wore all the time, which was such a great touch. The leather jacket, the freaking hat, the phone. It was so great.
There was a WBNX, was Channel 55 out of Akron, right?
Yep.
And then there was the Cat out of Canton. And it was channel 66 on cable. And every Friday night at 11 or at 9 o'clock, ECW came on from 9 to 11. And then at 11 o'clock was the Miss Hawaiian Tropics bikini pageant.
Oh, you had your priorities lined up for the night there.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did.
Hell yeah.
But I remember watching ECW. I remember being at the Nutter Center in Dayton, Ohio in 1999, seeing Heatwave 99 and seeing Tommy Dreamer being held in the tarantula by Tajiri while Taz came out the entryway and then beat the hell out of Tajiri and wrapped barbed wire around his face.
Ooh.
Have you never seen that match, Sam?
No, I haven't actually.
It was for this. It was for the ECW heavyweight title, and at one point, Taz walks up the entry ramp, and he grabs one of the letters, and he starts pulling the barbed wire off of the letter. And you know Taz's submission, the Taz mission that he would lock in, that was his finish. He wrapped it around Tajiri's face and locked it in with the barbed wire. And they pulled the camera back so you couldn't see it.
Ooh.
Jeez.
That's ooh.
But I was so impressed with WrestleMania. So far, I'm impressed with Raw. Yeah, we're a half hour in, but we've only had promos. But it's the night after Raw. You don't watch Raw for the matches anymore. You watch for the promos because that's where the wrestling happens. It's like that South Park episode. You've got a soliloquy in Act 4.
Yeah, it's kind of like the whole thing of the whole WrestleMania weekend. You've got SmackDown, which pumps it up for you on Friday. Then now you had the NXT with theirs on Saturday. Then you had night one of WrestleMania. Plus, you also had the Slammy Sunday morning, waking up to that. Oh, and the Hall of Fame, too. I mean, it was just full-on content all weekend long.
I will be happy with the... I'm sorry, Sam. I will be happy, though, when WWE leaves Philadelphia, because if I have to sit here and watch one more bleeped-out episode of Raw where they take the camera silent because the Philly fans can't stop swearing.
Hey, we're classy people over here. Well, first of all, I just want to point out also when it came to the NXT show, I unfortunately was working and missed most of it. I got home in time to catch Hayes and Trick Williams. That match was freaking amazing.
Go back and watch Tony D'Angelo versus Ilya Dragunov.
Oh, no, I did. Okay, hold on. I was wrong. I caught that as well. But first of all, the fact that Tony D'Angelo's entrance with the Sopranos is great, by the way.
The whole match was great. But man, I was like, I knew Ilya Dragunov was stiff. Like, he's really snug. But he threw one forearm, and I watched Tony D'Angelo's jaw just rattle. And I was like, oh! They're not letting him get a word in edgewise. It's great.
I mean, even this morning at 10:30, the bump was even on from Philly this morning. I mean, WWE literally had everything going all week long, and after Raw's done tonight, they'll finally be moving. They're finally moving on. But I mean, Philly has definitely gotten their money's worth out of WWE this weekend easily, especially for as much as they put every little thing. I was shocked when my phone went off first thing in the morning, because I've got Paul Levesque on my Facebook alert thing, and when it goes off, it's usually that there's something live. So to see that the Slammies were going off yesterday morning, which was hysterical, by the way. Now we know why they don't do morning stuff, because Big E, R-Truth, you could tell everybody who was there and was participating in it, with the exception of Punk. And I mean,
they were just having fun. I watched it back.
They were,
having fun.
but it was like you could tell that whoever was in charge of production that morning, you needed your coffee, people.
It's okay. It's all right. They were having fun. They were just having fun.
Yeah,
And
but they were.
The Rock set another record for the largest gathering of trailer park trash.
Damn.
And now they're chanting, "You're an asshole" at him.
This is great.
It'll almost be a whole hour of just him trying to get through this show. It's like, all right, we don't know who's supposed to actually wrestle tonight, but you can forget it.
I think what I'm hoping happens is that they pull a WrestleMania 14 the night after WrestleMania 14 when Shawn lost to Steve Austin, right?
I believe so.
Was it WrestleMania 14 was when Shawn lost to Steve Austin. I remember it quite vividly. It was one of my favorites. But the night after on Raw, Triple H came out and he said, "We got to get new blood. You look to your friends, you look to your clique," right? And then that was when they reformed DX with X-Pac and the New Age Outlaws and China, and that was the new DX. I would like Roman to be out here at some point tonight, and I want to see The Rock kick Roman out of the bloodline because Roman couldn't get the job done and form a new bloodline.
Well, here's my only issue with if that happens. I think, just like Seth, I think Roman is also going to be probably taking some time off.
That's perfectly fine because you're setting up for Rock and Roman in either SummerSlam or WrestleMania.
Honestly, from what the things that people keep saying, I don't know how long he's going to be gone. He may be going past that because I'll tell you something. You know, they asked him about like his leukemia in his press conferences over the weekend. I don't know if anyone else noticed this, but me and the few people I was watching Mania with, Roman's body mass looked completely different than he did 6 months ago. He looked smaller. He looks way skinnier to me this weekend.
Sure.
So there is possibilities that could he start thinking maybe this is it?
I think we're gonna get Roman and Rock, but
I would think so too.
But you got to.
I just don't know if
it'll be at SummerSlam or it'll be at Mania next year. And
so, what do you think will set up for Cody at Backlash in France?
You're not going to have Cody and Roman at Backlash.
No. Who do you set up? Who do you have to set up somebody for Cody at Backlash?
Could it be Drew?
No.
You have to have
I think their new signee is showing up tonight or on Friday.
MJF.
Yep.
You know, it was kind of funny. So going into last night, I had to come up with scenarios for both what could have happened if Roman were to retain or if Cody were to win.
You did a wrestling podcast and didn't invite me?
No. I did not do a wrestling podcast. I don't do wrestling podcasts anymore. I just came up in my head with scenarios on what would happen if Roman retained. And I said to myself, because, you know, if anyone saw that, WWE also signed Jacob Fatu yesterday afternoon. So
he's been signed. They just announced it yesterday afternoon.
Right.
He signed back in February.
Yes, but some people were fearful that some of the younger other members of that family were going to show up and cause Cody. But I said this: what if this happened? What if Jimmy and Solo came out, whatever, and Seth and Jay came out, and what if a masked man just attacked Cody and cost him the match, and it revealed to have been MJF? Do you imagine the heat that would have taken MJF?
So, unfortunately, while I was listening to people try to give me reasons why Cody shouldn't win or couldn't win, or it would be okay if he didn't win, he's not his dad yet. Okay. Dusty could lose in a big match and still have all the fans behind him, right? They didn't care. Cody's getting there. He's not there yet, but he's getting there.
He's getting there.
Did you watch the interview with Cody on Ariel Helwani's MMA Hour from last week?
I don't think so. I don't think I didn't catch it.
Ariel started talking to him about SoFi Stadium last year and losing to Roman and what happened after that. And Cody said he made a phone call the day after Mania. He made it to one person called John Cena. And he was talking to John Cena, and John Cena was talking him through it and helping him out and yada yada. And he said, John Cena gave me the greatest piece of advice I've ever been given. Be the champ without the belt.
Which a lot of people have done.
Yeah.
That's not what I mean. Be the champ without the belt. And that doesn't just mean represent the company. It means go do all the Make-A-Wishes. It means lead in the merchandise sales. It means check your numbers for ticket sales and ratings during your segments and compare them to the last time you were in that city or the last time you were on television and prove through metrics that you deserve to be the guy. You deserve to be the one that is the face of the company, that leads the company forward.
Well, and Roman actually did do that too. Roman had done that too. Once the Shield breakup, I mean, it was literally the same thing.
What in the?
So, but Cody. So, do you know who the crowd's chanting? This is awkward because they traded belts for a second.
Yeah, I know this.
So 6 of the top 15 merchandise items at live events and on WWE Shop Zone were Cody t-shirts or Cody sweatshirts. Roman wasn't even in the top 15. And he's the champ. So Cody spent the last year proving why he should be the guy. And if you didn't put the belt on him last night, you shoot all of that in the foot and you lose all of that momentum with him, because it's how many big matches is he going to have and not be able to close the deal. You can't do Cody and Roman for a third year at Mania. You can't do it at SummerSlam. It had to be done last night. It had to be done.
Yeah.
And when I saw Charles Robinson as the official for last night, I knew that was a done deal.
Well, I didn't think he was the referee the night before in the main event too.
No, he was not. No, he wasn't. Charles Robinson was not in the tag match. He was not the official for the tag match. It was one of the Stooges. No, it was not Robinson.
It wasn't a Stooge referee.
All over the dude. The Rock
Let me go back and look.
The ref. It wasn't Robinson.
Robinson is the senior official, and he's going to ref the big matches.
But he
wasn't the ref, though. He wasn't. I just look back on it.
Finish the sentence. Let me finish the sentence. Robinson being there doesn't mean one person's winning or one person's not. That's the referee who's trusted to deliver the match in the right way.
Yep.
And the fact that Robinson was there meant a lot because he had worked under Dusty. And so, but you brought up Tama Tonga, you brought up Jacob Fatu and a couple of the other Fatus and Anawais that got signed by WWE, right? That leads me a lot of those signings happened in January or February, which leads me to the thought of there is a new bloodline coming that's going to be led by The Rock. They're going to kick Roman out, which turns Roman babyface, solidifies Rock as more of a heel. You got to get somebody to be a babyface, and the fans want to hate The Rock. They don't want to cheer him.
Yeah.
Right.
Because he's the new Mr. McMahon.
Huh.
Yeah, and
okay. All right. I
can see that.
With that.
Because you bring all the like you said, all the younger bloodline members. They form with The Rock. I don't, and I'm okay with them because Roman, even had with this run that he's been on for what's it, almost 4 years, he was always, even when he was the heel, he was still being cheered and pun intended, acknowledged by fans. Fans still loved him. I'm okay with Roman Reigns, the tribal chief as a face, will work because he will be not a traditional face, but he will be a face in the eyes of the fans.
He'll be. It's like when the Shield were baby faces.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Let's just forget the big dog crap. I don't want to ever remember any of that stuff.
I don't think you have to, because that was a Vince McMahon thing. But Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce are the general managers, right? Are they heels or baby faces?
They're kind of in between.
Exactly. They are authority figures. They are bookers. They are the ones driving the story forward. It's no more of this us versus them crap.
Yeah. And I think if you're taking,
but sorry, Cody just delivered a banger line. I wanted to hear it. But you have these two individuals who are running the shows. Triple H, is he a heel or a babyface?
In between.
Triple H?
He's more of a babyface in the fans' eyes, but like he can't really do any wrong right now, right?
Of course, yeah, that.
Well, Triple H really doesn't. You can see he really doesn't want to be personality. He is about the business, and he's trying to just stay back and let everybody do what he knows that everybody can do. I think that's why he really didn't want to have any characterization, and like we said, like Cody even said last night, I know he doesn't want to come out here, but he was calling him out to come out. So no, I totally agree with that aspect of Triple H. Yeah, he's a face, and he just wants to slowly get out of that. I know he does. So
this is very interesting.
This is very weird.
So it is.
What is he giving him?
What did he give him?
He just gave him Dusty's Rolex that Dusty had to sell back in the early 2000s, and Cody didn't know where it went.
Well, they're making that part of the storyline. Cody actually had the watch last night. If you watch the press conferences after, he had it on last
Cody night. Didn't know where. No, Cody bought Rolexes for him, Roman.
No. Last night.
No, they gifted him that watch back last night.
Yeah, they gifted.
He said in the press conference, "This is one like my dad's." That was one like his dad's. The one that he had last night was one like his dad's.
But I think
Rock just gave him the actual Rolex that was Dusty's.
That's going to be interesting.
I was going to say, it's kind of tricky to either understand if they're making that as part of the storyline or what.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Because the funny thing is, during that promo just now, The Rock was just telling the fans how he's going away, but there have been reports coming that he's going to be around the WWE for a little bit here. So this is why now, Bruiser, what you just said about him potentially forming a new bloodline, now that is starting to look more realistic as the time is going here.
Paul Heyman's going to still
be. The Usos split, and if
the Usos are split, but you got
Usos are split. So you literally. If Roman goes off and he's paired up, that gives you 2, and it's 2-on-2.
No, you're missing. They signed Jacob Fatu, who's a cousin.
Okay,
they signed Tom.
Him because
they signed Tama Tonga.
Solo will be with Rock.
But that's the thing. So Rock forms the new bloodline. He puts Paul Heyman as his stooge. He puts him. You report to me. So Paul Heyman's still going out and being the manager for the Bloodline.
I think Paul would stay with Roman.
Paul's better as a heel. Paul's much better as a heel.
Well, if you heard Paul said, he said, if you think you've seen everything, you haven't seen anything yet.
We're still only in the bottom of the third inning a while ago.
Yeah. I mean,
so we have to wait and see.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, like you said, pencil in hand, there's a lot you can do here.
There's one individual that I think that you could. I wish he was still alive because I think it would be a good story right off the bat because I think you could get it to SummerSlam. Remember the original NXT, the game show where it was Miz and Daniel Bryan and they paired a pro with a rookie?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you remember who Cody Rhodes' rookie was?
Bruiser, you may want to look who's coming out.
What, Russell Shinsuke?
Yes.
Ilya! Yes!
Ilya Dragunov.
George, watch this kid.
He's so good.
He hits so hard. But I saw the look on your face like you realized what I was saying. Sam, do you remember who Cody Rhodes' rookie was on the original NXT?
Oh, my God. Hold on. This was the group that became Nexus, right?
It was part of what spawned Nexus, but yeah, he was in it.
Was it that group?
Yeah.
Okay. Was it?
I'll give you a hint. You ready?
Okay.
Let me in.
Bray Wyatt.
Husky Harris was Cody Rhodes' rookie. How good would a short-term story be from, say, Backlash to SummerSlam with Bray Wyatt and Cody Rhodes?
How would you do that, though?
You finished your story, yet you stagnated mine. You stuck me with the name of Husky Harris. You made fun of my weight. You made me leave my dream and go back to developmental. You tell a real story, especially with that documentary that just came out.
We haven't seen the documentary yet. I believe that is on our card for tomorrow night.
You've not watched the Bray Wyatt one yet?
No, I haven't watched it.
Oh man, it's
so good.
Kelly, Bryce, and I we're going to watch it tomorrow.
It's heartbreaking about 30 seconds in. But it's so good. And they leave it open for another individual to come in and tell Bray's story in Bo Dallas.
Yeah.
Because you know who Uncle Howdy was Bo Dallas. That was the brother.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. I remember.
Yeah.
God, I love
this is like this is the most excited I've been talking WWE in like so long. I'm actually like I'm so pleasantly happy. Well, let me give you a backstory here real quick about my thing with the WWE because Bruiser.
I can't talk about NASCAR because I didn't watch a lap of the race yesterday.
I was gonna say I forgot to do everything because there's so much WWE. It's wrestling.
I set my lineup and then I didn't check it. And my lineup, the race winner was in my garage.
Ooh.
And if I'd have switched him and Josh Berry, I'd have had the top 5. And I'd have beat Chipper.
Yeah, like I said, it was WrestleMania weekend. That was going to happen. That was totally going to happen.
Thank you.
So go ahead, Sam.
So here's the thing. So back when I first started coming on the show with you guys and guest appearing and all that, and when Bruiser and I would briefly bring up another company that airs on Wednesday nights, which I'm not going to talk about them at all really tonight because it doesn't that what they're doing doesn't matter to me right now. Let me explain to you my
I'm gonna bring
frustration when
them
it
up
came
in
to
a
WWE.
second.
Okay, well, I'll bring them up in a second too. But let me. This is my. I'm giving you like a backstory of my wrestling experience since because I went to the Rumble in 15 that Roman won, where the whole Wells Fargo turned on him. The big dog was done. That was the night the big dog died because nobody cared about it. So after that point on, that's when it started scaling out for me. Then in 2018, Bruiser, correct me if I'm wrong, Shinsuke won the Rumble in 18, right?
Yes.
Like if that was the other one that came back to Philly, then that's the one that Shinsuke won. Shinsuke, of
Because
course, was
Shinsuke and
one of the-
Asuka both won.
Right.
Yes, but so we all know that was back when Shinsuke was just coming up, and he was one of Triple H's biggest guys in NXT. Then, after what I watched Vince do to him, and they fumbled that completely, that is when my love for WWE started to fade completely away, basically, because I could not stand the same stories, the same crap, the same people, and all my favorite NXT wrestlers kept getting screwed over and just put on the bottom of the totem pole because I don't care if they're in-laws or not. I think Vince has always had a little bit of a jealousy that Triple H is clearly a better booker than Vince has been over the past 5 years of Vince doing it because we know Vince has been gone for a little
Triple H
bit
has
now.
been a better booker. Was always a better booker than Vince.
Yeah.
But Vince, because Triple H understands the business, because Triple H has been in it.
Exactly. And so here's the thing. So after 2018-19, love for wrestling it just got stale because it was just the same crap and nobody cared. Then at the time, now there's a timetable here. At the time when AEW came around, it at least gave fans an alternative. That's all I'm going to give them for right now. Because honestly, I'll tell you this right now. Since All In, they've been a freaking mess. And they have not recovered from anything that's happened since All In. But
they've been a mess for a while.
Yes. Well, before All In, I enjoyed it. Since All In, I can't stand it. And the problem is because they don't have a Triple H. They don't even have a Vince McMahon because Tony Khan has no clue what he's doing. He's trying to trust in the Bucks, which is the biggest mistake he's made since opening that company. But the fact that just look at WrestleMania, right? And what have we been talking about for a lot? NXT, right? When it was in their golden age, when Triple H was basically the head of it for the full time. Look at WrestleMania. I mean, yes, Cody won. Cody was an NXT guy, but Sami Zayn's the Intercontinental Champion now. Bayley is the new women's champion. You're getting Damian Priest. You're getting all of Triple H saying, I'm going to put out there what I know is going to work with who I know is going to work. And we're going to start this off fresh and not with the same crap. Honestly, if Vince was still around, we would probably be doing the Roman Reigns storyline for 3 more years. And it's
the champions now remind me. Do you remember that picture from, I want to say it was like 2012, where Natty was the women's champ, Bryan Danielson was one of the heavyweight champs, CM Punk was the other.
Yes.
Tyson Kidd had a title, Kofi had a title, and it was all this young era, like people that fans were behind, and then within like 6 months, none of them held titles.
Yes, I remember that. That was like such an awkward period.
Everybody was all for it, and Vince didn't want to change.
Yeah. And that was honestly the problem from like 18 to 19 up until basically all this stuff came out about Vince and they finally got him out of there. He didn't want to change. And Triple H knows what change is necessary. And look, just
you have
1
to evolve.
week. Yes, and 1 weekend has saved professional wrestling.
I don't know if I'd go that. I don't know if I'd go that far, but I think it's taking it into another boom period for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Because
The thing
like,
I would
that's
say
it.
though to bring up that company
ahead.
with 3 other letters. You had to announce on social media during the biggest pay-per-view of the year that you were going to air the all-in footage from backstage
Which no one's gonna watch.
because you have to try to get a ratings boost out of CM Punk again. Because
See, go ahead, Bruce. Go ahead. See the
Tony Khan
here's the
Tony Khan needs a Pat Patterson. He needs he needs somebody to be like, you don't do this. This is dumb.
well. Here's the thing: when Impact announced that it parted ways with Scott D'Amore, the first phone call he should have been Tony Khan, because at least Scott D'Amore kept TNA in some type of relevance and freshness every now and then. Here's the problem with Tony Khan. This is not a business to him. It's his childhood dream. That's the first problem. Number two, every company now that does this will say they need a Triple H. You know what happened to Tony Khan's Triple H one day? He's now the undisputed champion that beat Roman Reigns last night because Cody was the only wrestler out of the original EVPs that had experience in the big dance. The Young Bucks and Kenny Omega have never stepped foot in an arena like what we saw last weekend, and they probably never will. I don't give a crap about All In. All In, it was cool to advertise. You lied about the attendance, first of all. You didn't sell half of what you thought you did. And that is what he tries to do. He puts all this trust in the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. And right now, it's just the Young Bucks. Kenny Omega, of course, the one unfortunate thing with Kenny Omega, he's a great wrestler, but since he came to AEW, has not been healthy for more than 6 months. And it's unfortunate because Kenny is a great wrestler. But when it comes to the Young Bucks, first of all, they're two of the most immature guys I've ever seen trying to act like EVPs. Second of all, the fact that he's trying to create them to be like the wrestlers that run the back is going to be the death of that company if it hasn't happened already.
I'm tired of people saying that people like Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Darby Allin, Hangman Page are good wrestlers. They're not. They're good. They're good at doing moves. They're not good wrestlers.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Some of them, though, I think could be really good wrestlers with the proper development. And see, this is like you said, how you were talking about.
Look at Jade Cargill.
My jury is still out on Jade.
Look at what they did. Look at what they did with Jade. Tony had a bona fide star in Jade Cargill. She was a star. He buried her. He let her squander, and then she left and took a chance on herself. Triple H said, "We're going to stick you in NXT for 6 months."
Yeah.
And we're just all she did was be at the Performance Center for the last 4 to 6 months.
Yeah, that's all she's done. She's only been at the Rumble and Mania and SmackDown once.
And she didn't do bad at the Rumble at all.
But it's the fundamentals. It's the psychology that she didn't have.
Right.
Yes, because go ahead.
They taught her. She now has that. Bubba Ray Dudley said it best on Busted Open. I think it was Thursday. He said he was talking about WWE and he was talking about AEW. And he said that you don't understand how to tell a story until you go work for WWE once. He said when you go work for WWE, it clicks and it sinks in because they know how to do it. My problem with AEW is and always will be that there is an individual who has a crap ton of money who reads the dirt sheets and thinks he's smarter than everybody else running a wrestling business, and he has no business doing it. He had an opportunity at a guy that could have booked it and made it a successful company, but he didn't want to listen to Jim Cornette.
Yeah. And the other thing is just the fact that, like I was saying earlier, with having guys like Triple H, like has been through the business. But another thing that we were talking about earlier, right, with NXT, all the things that they teach them down there, the Performance Center, NXT, the classes, AEW has none of that. They just honestly, what Tony Khan sees is he sees a guy that will make the crowd go 3 times, and he will throw you in anything he wants.
Yeah.
So here's my thing, right? Cody Rhodes leaving was the start of the downfall. CM Punk leaving because of course, we know how Punk is, but I think this footage on Wednesday is going to be bogus BS, and it's going to just not even do anything for them. Punk leaving and exposing them more, that's like the strike 2. I don't know if he's under contract with them right now or not, but if MJF leaves that company,
his contract expired December 31st, 2023. He is not under contract with AEW.
Yeah, and people are trying to tell me that, he is. No, here's how I look at it. No injured superstar gets their merch pulled from the company website.
And he's not on the website.
Right.
Well, yeah, well, all right, well, yes, but you've heard people, like WWE's done that to make things look good for someone to return, but I've never seen someone's merchandise pulled from their site. If he signs with WWE, they will be gone. And I am telling, look, TNA even, they had to change the Impact. They never died. They still hang on to their hope. Here's the difference. TNA has wrestling people in the back working with them.
But TNA,
will be
TNA
the
Impact,
end of it.
TNA Impact under Scott D'Amore would have overtaken if you had given them the TNT time slot from 8 to 10 on Wednesday night.
Would have killed it.
Would have killed Dynamite.
Give them their roster.
It's not even a roster, but give them 6 to 9 months. They'd be doing solid millions. Maybe 1.2, 1.3, but it would be a solid.
Yeah.
The other night when they had on Raw, when you had the Drew, Seth, and Punk interview segment together where they were all going back and forth, right? It was the Cody beatdown in Chicago night.
Mm-hmm.
That segment alone on Raw spiked the viewership on Raw for the numbers of what Rampage and Collision does combined. One segment, 1/4 hour, did 800,000 people.
Well, first of all, let me explain this one as well. I think Rampage has been pointless since it started. I think it's stupid. Hour-long stuff like that doesn't work that much anymore. Collision should have been axed the second CM Punk left the company because he literally only did it because he literally had 3 indie wrestlers being babies that they can't work with somebody.
I don't disagree on that.
Well, we got. Oh, wait, what's this about?
This is MJF's Twitter or X. He has not posted anything since December 30th until Saturday, and this was a direct shot at Dwayne.
Yeah, he's coming.
First time he posted anything since December 30th.
He's coming. He's coming to WWE.
He's coming.
Yeah,
he is coming. That is the first post since December 30th that he has even put on there. He's coming.
But with AEW, my biggest problem is that there is no structure, there is no leadership, there is no one there. There isn't.
No.
And you say hour-long shows can't work. If you have a 2-hour-long program that is Collision and a 2-hour-long program that is Dynamite, right? You put Rampage on Monday or Tuesday and you recap what happened last week on Dynamite, you recap what happened on Collision, maybe you throw a TV match or 2 in there, something that you tape before Dynamite or Collision. The other thing is Quit going to NBA arenas that sit anywhere from 15 to 20,000 people and only filling them with 4 and leaving 3/4 of that arena vacant. Go to places like the Wolstein Center, which seats 3,500. Go to places that have a seating capacity of 6,000 or less, because then the arenas look full.
Why don't you try to do what TNA used to do with the Impact Zone and go find a standard place just to go?
No, because they could still tour with it, but you need to.
Oh yeah.
ECW went to places like the Nutter Center. They went to places like the Wolstein Center, the Schottenstein Center back in the 90s and early 2000s. But they went to places like that. They didn't go to giant arenas where they weren't going to fill it.
And the other problem is with TNA, half of the time, they were literally giving free tickets out to people to try to get them in there to watch them.
No, it was always that. It wasn't half the time. It was always that. They were being paid by Universal to run their tapings there. That was an attraction for Universal.
Yeah, that's after a while, you're not really getting anybody to show up.
But you're getting TV money. You're getting money from Universal to put on your product. That's what funded TNA for a very long time. The dumbest thing that TNA ever did was go away from the weekly pay-per-views. $5 on a Wednesday night goes live at 9:00. It was streaming before there was streaming.
Touche.
And here's the thing. The only thing that in Philly that AEW gets is the Leocore Center at Temple University. And I won't lie, I have been to that Dynamite twice there. And it's this, like you said, it's just even that is too big for them.
How many Wait a minute, who came out? Oh, R-Truth! Yes! I love R-Truth so much.
What titles?
They won the Raw Tag Team titles. Him and Miz did on Saturday.
Oh, okay.
So just for the point of the fact about the Leocore Center, Bruiser, it seats 10,206 people. Even that
there's got to be an arena. There's got to be an arena somewhere around Philly that seats 4,000 to 6,000.
There probably is, but the problem is that Tony Big Bucks with Daddy's money over there thinks he can just sell out these arenas. Like, here's the funny thing: I know somebody who's a diehard AEW fan. They do no wrong. This company's WWE does. They can never match them in his eyes. This fool, and I'm calling him a fool, said to me, "Why don't they ever go to Wells Fargo?" I said, "That's because if they called," I said, "just take out the relationship that Wells Fargo has with WWE." I said, if Wells Fargo Center got a call from AEW and they looked at the numbers they do in NBA arenas and they asked to come there, they'd hang the phone up.
For sure. What does Wells Fargo seat? 21,000, something like that?
Let me check.
You can have the rest, Bob.
Yeah, I was just looking up because I did attend a TNA pay-per-view. Actually, Kelly and I.
No, you can have them all, Bob. I don't want to be more.
And it was at the CompuWare Sports Arena in Plymouth, Michigan. It was a Bound for Glory pay-per-view. And
what year was that?
That was 2006.
I remember that pay-per-view.
Was that the Angle Joe?
Yep.
Daniels.
It was a triple.
No, this was the Sting beating Jeff Jarrett with Angle as the special enforcer. Yeah.
Angle
and Joe fought at Genesis the next month.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was PTNA for me. I loved it. That was my PTNA stuff.
Yeah, but it's like, hey, I was just like, I know Kelly and I, we went to one because I had actually won tickets when we were dating for Sunday Night Heat. I had won them off the radio station. And then it wasn't even about 6 months later, I won the tickets for the TNA pay-per-view. And I was just like, hey, we'll keep going to different wrestling events. So,
and that
was fun.
That's the funny thing. So I've been to, by the way, real quickly, Wells Fargo's capacity is 21,000. So,
I just said 21,000.
oh, my bad. But so here's my other thing. I've been to the Leacorp Center for Wrestling 4 times in my life, 2 for AEW Dynamite, and 2. I've actually, George, have been to 2 TNA pay-per-views. I went to Lockdown in 2009 when Mick Foley beat Sting for the world title, and I went to Bound for Glory. I forget what year, but it was the end of the Hulk Hogan and Immortal storyline when he faced Sting. And both of those, first of all, Lockdown that I went to was way better than the Bound for Glory. The Bound for Glory was not great, but they almost sold that place out. AEW hasn't even come close to selling that out. And it's a 10,000 person arena on a college campus.
I can't take AEW seriously because there's a number of things that they could do to increase their business and to build a following, and they don't do it.
The first thing he needs to do is to hire a wrestling mind that has worked in this business with him.
He has one.
He knows it. Who?
He has Dean Malenko and Arn Anderson in the back.
Fair enough. But it doesn't matter to him. He doesn't care.
He had JR there. Yeah, JR can't announce anymore, but his mind's still there.
In the business. How long has he been in the business? That's exactly your point.
50 years?
Exactly. He's got all this experience, and he doesn't care to use it.
But if you look at, you're talking about go to the smaller arenas, build your following.
Yes.
That Bryan Danielson Shibata match that just happened not too long ago, right? It built for 3 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. You realize that could have been a 3-month build to main event a pay-per-view that you probably could have sold 1 million buys on.
Yes.
The other thing I would do is I would walk into the locker room and say the next MFer that wants to swear during primetime national television on my airwaves is getting fired.
Yes.
The next person who decides that they want to stick a fork or a pizza cutter or a screwdriver in somebody's head and bleed all over an arena and all over my fans, you're fired. Because blood should only be reserved for the top things. Remember how long it's been since we've seen blood in a real way in WWE? Who bled?
Mysterio with the eyeball.
No. Who bled recently on television? Cody. And who made him bleed?
With the Rock.
Right. Did they let Tozawa and Ivar bleed?
Yes.
Did they let one of the lesser girls bleed? Did they let? That's the point. It meant something.
Yeah.
It meant something. Nothing in AEW means anything.
Well, like honestly, like here's the thing.
Sorry, I'll get off my soapbox now.
No, you're fine. Here's my thing. And like we're talking about. Well, TNA from W.
You're talking about AEW, not TNA, Doug.
Real quick, George, just a quick question. When you went to that Bound for Glory, what was the capacity like? Was there a lot of people there?
No, it was about 2,100. It was 2,100.
Yeah, but how many does that arena sit?
About 5,000.
So you're at
almost
half. You're almost at half capacity.
Wing. Yeah, it's the junior wings thing. It's about the same capacity as the Crushers baseball stadium. It's about 52, 53.
Okay.
But that's half capacity. You can curtain off the top ring and it still looks good.
Yeah.
When you're putting 4,000 people in an NBA arena and 3/4 of it is empty and you can't do certain camera shots because you don't want to show empty seats, that's a failure on your part as a businessman.
Yes. And it's sick. It's just like I said, he doesn't know how to market this stuff. He doesn't know how to book this stuff. He doesn't know how to, like, honestly, I'll tell you right now,
The other
true
one.
wrestling fans know who Will Ospreay is. Because of Tony Khan, we'll never know who he is again.
I don't care for Will Ospreay.
Really?
No, he
I
does
love
really
Will
cool.
Ospreay.
He does really cool moves. He's not a wrestler.
Okay, so all right, let me ask you this. If you had to go through AEW, I know that pains for you to do, who would you consider as a wrestler in their company? Is there anybody you consider?
Daniel Bryan,
Okay, yes, right, okay.
MJF.
Okay,
I think Hook is because of who Hook's dad is.
thank you. I have been saying that for years, and I am being told that he is terrible, and I don't understand why.
Jericho.
Yes.
Moxley used to be.
He needs to get out of there.
I think there are a number of individuals in AEW who could be solid wrestlers.
So, do you think now? Say you. All right. Let me ask you. What about Kenny Omega? What's your
No.
thoughts with Kenny?
I don't
Okay.
like Kenny either.
Okay.
I don't like Kenny because I don't like Kenny because I think that Kenny reminds me of that era of WWF from like 2009 to like 2013 where everybody
boy.
was overly dramatic and overly pointy and overly I hate all of the pointing. I hate all of the I think Kenny Omega, if he would shut up and listen to somebody about actual psychology, could be a really good wrestler.
Yeah. Well, my one thing with Kenny Omega, like I said in AEW, I feel bad for him still because, like I said, I feel like ever since he's been in AEW, he's hurt in like every 6 months, and it sucks. But there was a deal on the table for him to come to WWE, and maybe now thinking about it, maybe he should have took it. Because here's the thing, they like to, a lot of wrestlers like to say how AEW, it's a nicer work schedule. Yes, but the problem is those 1 a week matches you're having, you guys are out there killing yourselves because your boss just wants high flying, crowd captivating moves. But WWE, they teach you how to wrestle safe, quality matches. They teach you how to take care of yourself so you don't get hurt. AEW has been through how many AEW pay-per-views have been ruined because so many of the roster was hurt. Look at the first Forbidden Door. 5 matches were altered by injuries because of this crap.
Oh,
they are not
by the
taught
way,
how to be safe in the ring in AEW.
By the way, to answer your question about who's wrestlers, Samoa Joe, Tony Storm,
Yes.
Roderick Strong, The Acclaimed. You've got guys there that can do cool, flashy moves, but they know psychology and they know how to work. That's the difference to me between a wrestler and someone who just is in there doing moves. If you don't know how to tell the story, how to do the psychology, if your big thing is I'm going to jump up and I'm going to do a double indie twist with a can opener off the top rope and then land, and then it's not the finish, then why are you doing it?
Right.
I saw a tweet from Shawn Michaels, and I don't know if it was from this weekend or if it was from a while ago, but it was I saw it after the Jay Jimmy match on Saturday night at WrestleMania, and all it said was I'm so glad the future generations protected my finish. That to me says a lot. Super kick is just a move now. It doesn't mean anything. No. Nobody goes down with it.
Well, okay, like here's the thing. Here's another thing with AEW that bothered me. Now, at the time, this match actually was a solid match, if you can call it a match. A couple years ago, there was a steel cage match on an AEW pay-per-view. Which one it was, I can't remember. It was the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers. And ever since that
was
match,
a terrible match.
Okay, yes, but you need to understand. Back at that time, I had nothing good from WWE to look on, so that was like that was the standard for me. Let me explain this though. Ever since that time, every time I see the Bucks and the Lucha Brothers to literally in the ring together, I turn the freaking TV off because there's literally going to be 18,400,823 super kicks, and I'm going to be so freaking exhausted from watching these guys, wondering how they don't tear their groin muscles. That move is gotten so stale because of what you just said, and it's annoying. Like the Bucks, I'll tell you right now, the Young Bucks are not. They're not even like guys that could turn into wrestlers. They're just bad.
You thinking that at the time that the Young Bucks and the Lucha Brothers was a good match explains your lack of girlfriends because your standards are awful.
Well, let's go back to what WWE was doing at the time. That was how bad the world of wrestling was.
But the whole world of wrestling was bad. It was in a down period.
And that's
all of it was bad.
That is my point I'm trying to make. But seriously, but back to what I was saying, I just cannot stand. This is why, like, I'll tell you right now, since I would say Survivor Series, I have not watched an episode of Dynamite. I have not watched. I thought Rampage was done before it was like getting this bad. And Collision, I used to do when Collision started. I was doing 609 Sports Talk, so I didn't have time to watch Collision on Saturday nights. I was doing my own show, but. Yeah, I can't turn on Dynamite because I do not want to watch the Young Bucks because they just annoy the living crap out of me. Matt Jackson has got the most punchable face I've ever seen in my life.
Well, and Kelly turned around and we were stuck in the hotel room during one of Grace's tournaments or something, and it was on, and it was kind of like the only thing to be watching. And Jericho had come out, and she goes, "My God, Jericho got fat."
Yeah, he did. He got that roid belly.
Oh my!
He's got that roid belly.
He said.
Well, yeah, he's only working one day a week. He's not having the. That's why guys like see. This is what AEW is going to be in the next. I'd say 2 to 3 years if they haven't already become this. They are already transitioning to it. They are going to be the company that young, talented guys like MJF and stuff will go to start if they even get to this point anymore. They will go there to start, but when they know they are better than the company, they're going to move to WWE. Or it's going to be for ex-WWE guys like, no offense, Jericho, Edge, that want lesser work schedules, and the product is going to suck.
AEW is the strip club in the blue collar part of town where the good strippers get their career started before they go into the high end areas, and where the bad strippers go to die. That's all AEW is.
Well, that's an interesting analogy, and we just lost our viewership.
We just lost our what?
Our one viewer. We've been hanging on to 2. All of a sudden, now it's at 0.
Good. Let's get the hell out of here.
The timing on that was brutal.
I'm waiting on Zolt because I had some really good New York style pizza this weekend.
Oh Jesus, here we go.
Oh boy.
Oh Lord, that conversation. You guys were going back and forth. I was like, oh my God. All right, I got to watch this for a little while.
I didn't realize that I inadvertently started the whole thing because I was like, what the hell are you taking shots at Pittsburgh for? And I was like, oh, I took the first shot. Never mind. I opened that can of worms. Never mind.
Yeah, yes, you did. You definitely did.
It was funny, though. I was laughing. Sir, don't talk about Pittsburgh's culinary acumen.
Oh my gosh. It started with the teams and went on to the food.
Oh boy.
There he is. He's like, sorry. Bring up the talk about Detroit versus Pittsburgh, and ta-da. Perfect.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is there a comparison?
You jumped in right as he was talking about your guys.
I was talking about our skirmish Saturday that had me laughing hysterically.
That was fun. It
was fun.
Saturday was fun. Sunday was not fun. Saturday was fun.
Did you have the poopy doopies on Sunday?
No, I had the opposite on Sunday.
Oh, it was the other way? The other end?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
So I apologize if my throat is a little scratchy today.
It's just that fifth of fireball you downed.
This is not pretty. Amazingly enough, somehow I'm the only one that got this.
Ooh.
And I'm knocking on
I
every piece of wood I got.
like I said in the group chat, I poopy doopy my pants on my way to work. I was at the exit on the highway for work, and I just turned right around and went home.
Regardless of anything else, I do want to backtrack. I know you guys spent like the first hour on WrestleMania, which is fine. I'm not obviously into it nearly as much as you guys. However, I will say this. A lot of what I read online said certainly one of the best in recent memory.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
To me, it opened that way, just following a line, because if you look at my background, that is Motionless in White, who did their live version of Rhea Ripley's entrance, the one that they wrote. And since they're not on tour and they're from PA, what the hell? They showed up and did it live for her.
My favorite entrance from Mania was Seth Rollins' Mummer's Day Parade entrance.
Yes.
That was cool.
I had a buddy who is a wrestler out of Philly who was one of the extras in that, and they did the fittings for all those costumes back in February. And he goes,
Hold on.
Just wait until you see Seth's entrance. And I was like, why? He goes, it looks like Mardi Gras threw up.
But it was cool.
It was very cool. I liked Seth. I liked Drew McIntyre's entrance. I liked the choir singing Roman's entrance.
That was
really good.
Thing that was next level.
I liked the. I mean, if we're gonna talk about WrestleMania a little more, let's talk about the main event. In that the sequence, I was so glad that for the majority of that match, it stayed Roman and Cody.
Yes.
And right off the bat, they tried to like bring in tables and furniture and all that stuff, and it got shut down. And it was just wrestling. It was one-on-one, a fight. Yeah. It was a fight, right?
Yeah.
They kept the cluster F to a minimum throughout the whole thing. And to have that sequence of Jay coming out and then Jay coming out and then Jay coming out and then the spear off the entryway to the floor was insane. Then Solo coming out, John Cena coming out to stymie him, then The Rock coming out. And everybody was like, well, the only person that could go against The Rock is Stone Cold. And I was like, doesn't have any attachment to it. He has no attachment to Roman. There's no reason for Stone Cold to do it. Undertaker made the perfect sense, not only because Roman beat him, but when Undertaker had his second hip surgery and was getting ready to come back to do one of his last matches, do you know where he went and trained at? Rhodes' Wrestling Academy in Texas.
Oh, okay. Okay.
He went and knocked the ring rust off there.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Gives a little background to that.
So that to me,
I like how they made them disappear extremely quickly too.
They were quick run-ins. It was a point counterpoint. It was
but when the lights came off again, when
they were gone,
disappearing, everybody was like almost gone. And I said that worked out great. I thought that worked out really great.
They didn't overdo it. They didn't overuse everybody that came in. It was all perfectly done. And Bruiser, like you said, because a lot of people were saying, why wasn't it Stone Cold? Because you said there's no attachment to Stone Cold to come out here. Yeah, what do we try to do? Reprentice The Rock and Stone Cold from 23 years ago?
There's no. That's the only reason. There's no point.
Yeah,
he has no attachment to Cody.
And Taker was technically already there for the Hall of Fame ceremony.
But the other thing though is what was Taker in the locker room? What was he? What did they call him?
Judge.
He was the sheriff. He was the judge.
Yep.
Yeah.
How do you? What do you do when someone's
You
taking
need-
the law into their own hands? You call in the judge.
Yep.
Well,
Yep. That was perfect.
yeah.
It makes sense. It totally makes sense.
I'm just trying to back to night one really quick. I want to stay on the main. If we're talking still about, I want to talk more about the main event. I just want to know: has the police tracked down those two fat luchadors that attacked Dominic Mysterio?
That was so good. I was so good.
First of all, Jason Kelsey, I want to say something, sir. He'll never see me or hear me say this. You jumped over that top rope like it was with ease, man. You better come back for next season. I don't care what your knee and elbow says, sir. You could still go out there with the best of them.
Oh my God! When we were watching that, and we're seeing how big, and it was Lane Johnson, and we're like, my God, whoever the hell that is could take out all 5 or 6 dudes in the ring. It was like, good Lord, who is that? Who the hell is that?
Don't get me wrong, though. I did say to Georgia, I did say to Tyler, I said, I swear, if I see Lane Johnson suffer some type of WWE related injury, I'm going to go to that pay-per-view and ask them never to show up back here again because I am trying to win a Super Bowl this year.
I'm not gonna lie. When I saw it with Lane Johnson under the mask, and I saw the hair for a moment, I thought it was Big Bill Cassidy from Enzo and Cass. I thought like, what's he doing back?
Oh no!
Oh man!
I'm begging for never Cass.
I was like, what's he doing back? And then they took the mask off, and I saw it was there. Yeah.
Hey, baby.
And then I saw it was look, there. Hold on.
I got my certified G shirt on today. Oh, look
There
at
we
that!
go,
Look at that!
Look at you, Bruiser.
Look at that! We're just kind of ironically,
That was my birthday present a few years ago from my wife because I always talked about how I wanted a Cactus Jack shirt, and she surprised me with it.
Yeah, Bryce and I both had we both got the certified G shirts when they first came out and started. The most impressive thing was when he spewed off all the freaking presidents like off the top of his head. I was like, damn.
The only thing I would have changed about Mania is looking back on it, I'm wrong. But at the time, I was like, I think this is stupid. Because at the time, I really thought that when they went in, when Roman hit the spear on Rock, I thought that Seth should have pushed Cody out of the way like he did, but Seth should have ate the spear. Cody hits a quick something on Roman, takes Roman out, and then turns right around into a rock bottom, and then Rock pins him for the finish. You still get your bloodline rules on Saturday. Now, I was going into that match thinking Cody's got to pin Rock because that's the final boss to get to the final stage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who is that?
Liv.
Liv.
Oh, boo.
Yeah, I know. I don't like it.
Give me Tiffany Stratton.
Yeah, right. Like the Liv and Rhea thing is kind of like dead to the water now.
You know what it is? It's the goth girl versus the Barbie goth girl. The bleach blonde who wants to pretend she's goth.
Yeah.
She
goes to Rocky Horror on weekends because she thinks it's fun.
Hey, don't be talking about Liv like that.
What are you going to do? Mute me and kick me out? It's fine. I'll shut my computer and go watch Raw on my couch.
I was going to say, it's not even a threat anymore.
You don't want to miss what's coming.
I don't.
No.
You don't.
Am I going to get a chuckle out of it?
No.
It's going to be thought provoking. Let's say that.
It's very cool.
Speaking of which, let's just go to it because I did not mean to set off WrestleMania for another 10 minutes.
It's fine.
That's my bad.
It's fine. It's a good time to be. It's a good time to be a wrestling fan.
So
Roxy Perez.
Before we get into this, let me just say we're about to go into like Doctor Strange territories. We're going to go into potential futures.
Are we going into the multiverse?
Let me get
Not
comfortable.
necessarily, but so you know I come across something special when I bust out the PowerPoint.
Oh, good Lord.
Boy. He's on a PowerPoint.
Oh,
I need to get a little.
Speaking of college sports.
Yes.
Did you know WWE pays into the NIL?
Really?
I did not, actually.
I do now.
Ooh, wow. Okay. Did I just take over everybody?
Zolt has come up with this is the why the new college football format piece is in our title.
Okay,
Zolt has created, very carefully, strategically created the new divisions of college.
Okay, let's.
Did you put Texas and Oklahoma in the same division again? Please.
I don't remember. Look, it was 2 days ago. A lot has happened since then.
Right.
So, all right, I'm for whatever reason this has now made it so I cannot see you guys on the screen. So you just let me know. I'm assuming you can see.
I can see the title page. Go to the next one.
Perfect. Okay. Let me explain what we're doing here. So I came across an article during the week on The Athletic discussing the future of college football. And we've obviously had that discussion on the show plenty of times, where we're headed, etc. Specifically, the article discussed the CST group, known as College Sports Tomorrow. Obviously, if you have questions, feel free to ask. However, a lot of questions are going to be answered as we go along this. So let's go to exactly who is CST. So it's a 20-member group, and this is not just nobodies. You've got the Syracuse Chancellor. You've got the West Virginia VP. Pay attention to that third name, Brian Rolap. That's Roger Goodell's top lieutenant.
When did Gordon Gee leave Ohio State?
That was a while ago.
Yeah, I was going to say. That's been a little while now.
Also, a rather important name that we don't know at all is Len Perna. Literally, his search firm comes up with the guys who take over conferences as commissioners. So we have no idea who he is, but everybody who's a player in college football knows who he is.
Fair enough.
This is not just a bunch of nobodies. This is actually a real deal where, at the very least, some thought has gone into it. So now we're going to go into exactly what is College Sports Tomorrow. So they're trying to create a new system. All of FBS is going to be in it. It's going to replace the NCAA, the CFP, and all current conferences. Again, this is all, I don't even want to say potential, but CST was created 3 years ago when the first NIL lawsuit was lost by the NCAA. And we'll get into a bit more as to what they feel is coming. But so what they've come up with, obviously this is FBS. They don't deal with FCS, at least not in the article or anything else other than they feel that their model would actually support non-profitable sports.
So wait a minute. D1A, so like Youngstown State, they would be FCS, correct?
Yes. However, this is everybody. This encompasses all 133 FBS teams.
Okay.
Okay.
Speaking of which, so they have what their plan calls for 70 quote unquote permanent teams in 7 divisions.
10 teams per division.
10 teams per division, all existing Power 5 teams plus Notre Dame. So Big 10, SEC, ACC, Big 12, and your remnants of the Pac-12, Oregon State and Washington State. These are all permanent members. Now, I have broken this down by division purely on geography, nothing else.
Okay, Texas and Oklahoma are still there. It's fine.
Although that is a heck of a division with Texas, Oklahoma State. I mean, Division 3, my God.
Can we just rename Division 5 the Lone Star Division, because
Lone Star
almost every
Division?
one of those
Yeah,
teams
almost,
aside
yeah.
from Oklahoma and Oklahoma State are in
Yeah,
Texas.
It could
Right.
have been all Texas, but not all of them are in Power 5 conferences right now.
I will say is right now, I will say go firmly on this. As bad as I can't stand James Franklin, they would destroy that. Division 7 is Penn State's and no one else's.
Right. It
Where's
really is.
Iowa State? Oh, they're there. They're in Division 6. I was like, Iowa State's Power 5 school. Where are they?
So, in addition to your 7 divisions of 10 teams each, you get Division 8, which is made up of 10 teams that are not currently in non-Power 5 or that are currently in non-Power 5 conferences. So, to populate this, I literally, out of the 5 non-Power 5 conferences, I took the champ and who they beat in the championship game. I mean, I don't know how else I would pick. But the funky thing about Division 8, you are subject to relegation and promotion. Divisions 1 through 7 are permanent. However, you screw up in Division 8, you get to go join the outside looking in, the other 53 teams. As I said, it's kind of thought-provoking.
I would say that, well, I don't mind the divisions. I would increase it to 12 teams per division.
Okay.
If you move to 12 teams per division, and you can still do it geographically based, you might pull in a few of those 53 teams. Like in Division 2, you could put Fresno State in there. You could put San Diego State. Division 1, you could put Akron or Kent or Ball State or Central Michigan. You know,
Well, I will say
you
this.
got to have your Our Sisters of the Poor for the
Right.
big schools to beat up on.
I believe the point in having a separate division specifically for those teams is that odds are those teams, if put into a division with Alabama, Auburn, odds are they're going to finish towards the bottom and just get relegated again. At least.
I would like to say that Division 6 might be really interesting with Boise State in there.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's why I said I wasn't sure about Boise State being stuck over there.
Yeah, again, 1 through 7 had to be Power 5 teams. And Boise State being stuck in the Mountain West didn't qualify.
I just like the fact that Ohio State no longer has to travel to Maryland or Rutgers.
Right.
I'm just happy that I wouldn't have to deal with Ohio State.
Right.
No, look, I'm sure everyone has their own college football pain. The pain that I have to go through, because I used to love when Penn State football started. You have no idea the disappointment you get when all you do is sit there and like, yeah, well, we're going to lose to Michigan and Ohio State, so nothing else freaking matters. And then when you still think there's some glimmer of hope, you lose to like Michigan State.
Hey, I was just going to say, and then Michigan State takes you out.
Hey, I made it to this. My team made it to the semifinals last year, and we didn't get an interference call in the end zone that would have set up on the 1 yard line, and we lost to Washington. And I had to watch Michigan beat Washington when I know Texas could have beat Michigan.
I'm not going to comment on that. But anyway.
Hey, I will see you in a few months, sir, when we go to Michigan and Texas.
Right on. So again, going back to the 53 teams that are on the outside looking in, depending on how well you do, you can get promoted into Division 8. There were no details as to if it's one team or two teams that are subject to relegation.
Is this your
promotion.
own coming up, or is this the actual, like, what they want to do?
As far as the divisions, I just came up with this. However, they are the ones that they set out the 1 through 7 with an 8, 10 teams per.
And are they the ones that came up with
yes.
Relegation?
Yes.
I don't know why I tried to say relegation and regulation at the same time. And
Regulated
I came up with a regulation, the George Bushism there.
Yeah, everything except for the teams in the divisions they came up with. This is all their plan. And again, if they're not doing this geographically, I don't know how they're doing it. Because conferences were already initially set up geographically. So it just makes sense.
Imagine they did the NFL divisions geographically.
Yeah. Sure. Sort of.
Not really.
50?
Yeah, go ahead, Bruiser.
There's 53 teams.
Yes.
You could bring up an FCS school and make it 54. And when you have 54, it's what? 8 teams per? Let me do the math. Odd numbers bother me in situations like this. It's my OCD freaking out.
I get it. Again, though, I mean, it's FBS is you have to meet certain qualifications. So there's 133 teams that meet that qualifications right now.
You could do 6 divisions of 9 teams or 9 divisions of 6 teams, whatever you wanted to do. But you could do 6 divisions of 9 teams with the remaining 54.
I will say this, going back to the 10 teams per division, I believe there's a reason that they only want 10. And we're going to see that in a second with the playoffs.
Okay.
So no more CFP controlling things. No more, I mean, I'm sure there would be rankings. No more rankings to decide who gets in. Your playoffs are 16 teams, 8 division winners, 8 wildcard teams. Wildcard teams are strictly based off of record and tiebreakers, just like the NFL.
They would still find a way not to get in.
So, and with 16 teams, that means you have to plan for an extra week, maybe 2, from what you have now. And that could be why your divisions are only 10.
So you're literally starting it the week after Thanksgiving.
Probably.
You are starting the week after Thanksgiving. And it's just like the NFL. It's, hey, the next week you're going.
So there's 133.
Yes.
Right? There's 133 teams. If you did 10, if you sent one back down to FCS and did 10, 12 team divisions, you would still have your final division being the relegation division.
Yeah, but relegated to where? Everybody's already in a division.
Sam, I can hear Sami Zayn through your microphone.
Yeah, I was going to say whoever's TV it is.
Yeah, I hit the mute on it.
Yeah, somebody's is cranked like super loud.
Let's see if we can get through this, and then we can always go back to the teams, because I figured that was going to be the interesting point that we'd focus on. Let's talk about the money. Universities would own a percentage of the league. Revenue would be unevenly. Successful teams earn more, so kind of the ACC model.
Oh God, that would go over well.
obviously you've got existing media deals. Either they have to run out or the networks have to agree to buy in. Because we're waiting until the 2030s before anything like that could actually occur. However, the big selling point that CSD executives say is like their idea could potentially unlock money that isn't available right now because you're negotiating media deals as a 133 team package. You have specific days, you have specific time slots, very much like the NFL model. Now, this opens up other can of worms. Players. Key to this entire thing happening, the players are allowed to unionize and become employees. They will then negotiate a CBA for wages, etc. And I've got the quote on here from Len Perna. The only way to solve the problem is to have a solution that is legally defensible, politically acceptable, commercially prudent, and is able to strike a partnership with student athletes in a way that's really good for them.
Then you're going to eliminate scholarships. And what about schools like Akron, Kent, other programs at Ohio State or Michigan or UCLA that are dependent upon that football money that is generated throughout the season? Where does that come from? Because you're not going to get $4.4 million for a new science building from just donors. It comes from the football athletics. So where's that money going? Is it going to go back into some of the schools?
Each school has their own bylaws. This is what they do with football money, as we call it. Some of them, a certain percentage has to go to the university. Some of it, most of it has to go to the university. I can tell you right now, I have to believe head coach money takes a hit.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Not to miss this because I'm sure we'll hit this more, but so why are we doing this, or why has CST decided to present this? Okay. Current model for governing and managing college athletics is dead. We're in an existential crisis. What that means is that there's lawsuits out there, and they're not pretty.
No.
I'm going to get
Isn't there a multi-billion-dollar one right now?
I'm going to get into them slightly. I'm not going to get heavy into them because that's a whole can of worms. House versus NC2A. Class action suit. They feel they can get as many as 14,000 former players. Once NIL was deemed, once not allowing players to exercise the NIL rights was decided, that means it probably wasn't legal to prevent athletes before them from having NIL deals too. And that's what that lawsuit is for. Those damages would be in the billions. And the NC2A would be gone. Next one, Johnson versus NC2A. It's basically that would just mean players would automatically be classified as employees, just because of amount of work and what's coming out of it. Johnson wins. Is the NC2A prepared to call everybody employees? No, not even close. And just two more real quick. Chuba Hubbard. Hey, we know that name. Hubbard versus NC2A. He's looking for damages for Alston payments, which are just academic related benefits that because you're a student athlete, you're not allowed to have, but regular students are. So if he wins, guarantee you athletes coming out of the woodwork seeking the same thing. And then you've got Carter versus NC2A, which is a straight up antitrust lawsuit saying you cannot prevent us from being paid for playing. Those are not the only lawsuits out there right now. They're just the biggest. And honestly, you could look at any of those four, and a loss in any of those four is big trouble.
Yeah.
Yep.
So responses to it, the Syracuse chancellor, I really think conferences in the NC2A are at a very significant likelihood of going bankrupt in the near future because of those lawsuits, both the ones that are going to trial soon and those that will follow. It's very interesting that we had college football playoffs set up, suddenly expand. Anybody else thought it was curious that they suddenly also came up with another way to expand? Like really fast? Yeah. That was because in February, CST submitted their proposal to I believe it was the ACC, and gave them a presentation. And once that happened, everybody kind of stood up and said, okay, we need to do something to try to nip this in the bud because we don't want this happening right now. And so suddenly college football playoff expanded yet again really fast. And of course, if you follow the SEC and the Big Ten, they've formed a little advisory alliance to come up with the future of football, because if you look at it right now, it's the Big Two. And that's kind of how they're looking at it. I'm going to end this and I will bring up the team page because I know that's what everybody wants to see. Again, that was long-winded and it was a PowerPoint presentation on this show, which is odd. However, I felt the topic was worthy. Do I think this happens?
This is usually something we pull up on You're Out of Bounds, but
yeah, this is,
you know,
this
is for our other podcast.
It's a bit heavy. It's
which
a bit out there.
Which we will probably do one on this because this is a very good, strong subject. So I'm sure we will revisit this.
I have no idea if this actually happens or not, or anything close to this happens. But there's some big names attached to this. This isn't just some group out of nowhere. And they're right. There's money to be had here. And while that's not necessarily the route you want to take as far as why you're doing something, what do we do if the NC2A goes bankrupt next year? What do you do? At least somebody has some sort of a plan. Because otherwise, the SEC is going to try to run things. The Big Ten is going to try to run things. It's going to get ugly really fast. No idea where we go from here. No idea if this is even close to anything that would happen, especially these divisions. But I read the article and I was absolutely fascinated that people have thought this through to this point. I said they made a presentation to the ACC. They had presentations set up for the Big Ten, the SEC, and the Big 12 in February. All three of those conferences canceled after the ACC one. The belief is that they did not want to piss off their media rights holders, because in February, I'm pretty sure that was when most of the new deals got announced, or at least it was shortly thereafter. And you just signed a 10-year deal with ESPN or whoever. They're not going to want to hear you talking to somebody else about creating a whole new system of everything, in which case your deal just got scrapped.
Yeah.
But the fact that the NC2A felt the need, or the college football playoff actually felt the need to suddenly expand again, tells me that this is something that they are paying attention to. I'm not necessarily going to say that they're scared of it, but I think it's something they feel could very easily gain traction.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a good idea too. Although
it's not the worst thing in the world effort. I mean, we've talked about it. Big Ten, SEC. What are you going to do? You're going to have 30 team conferences and just 2 of them? I mean,
Yeah.
something has to give. And the only way for something to give is literally breaking things apart and starting over. And that doesn't mean you have to throw away everything. I mean, Michigan and Ohio State can still play each other. Hell, I'd bring on the Bearcats, even though they're misspelled. Division 3, Florida, Florida State, Miami, Georgia, Clemson. Good God.
That's a bloodbath.
It is. And I'd watch that.
Yeah.
And granted, Division 2 is basically the Pac-12, whatever.
And then
get the band back together again.
Division 7 will be Penn State's to win until they somehow lose to Virginia Tech and Pittsburgh back-to-back weeks.
I was going to say between Virginia Tech and Pittsburgh, those would be the two that.
So,
unless Boston College miraculously appeared once in a blue moon.
No. Let me explain to you. Do you mind if I take you guys through some Penn State 101 real quick?
Shoot.
Okay, so here's how each one of those opponents with Penn State would go. They would destroy Boston College because that's how they are. They would beat Maryland by like 1 score because Maryland always plays them tough. They would destroy Syracuse. They would destroy Rutgers. Get the give me a break with them at this point. If Max Mountain's not an Eagle, I'm gonna be pissed. But anyway. Pittsburgh would beat them. They would squeak by Virginia. They would beat the crap out of Duke. They would lose to Virginia Tech. Those cost themselves everything. And then they would lose to North Carolina just because why the hell not? And James Franklin would still get extended every single freaking year.
God love him.
I was going to say, it sounds like Suds reiterating Michigan State.
And obviously, everybody's got their, you've got your program that you watch. You got your conference that you watch. You've got your matchups where you're like, my God, I have to watch that. Yeah. You're trying to tell me you pull up in November, New Mexico State versus Tulane. Loser is out of the division. That's enticing TV because those players, you think somebody's sitting out there for their NFL rights?
Yeah.
Am I sitting out this game because I might go in the first round? I think your teammates are going to have a little talk to you.
I was going to say I could see Boise State pretty much running that division.
I was to show you where obviously we're into next season already for college football. Thinking about it, I had no idea Liberty was ranked at the end of the season.
Yeah, that
blew my mind.
I know. I was when you sent me the list, I'm sitting there going Liberty. I'm like, really? And I had to look, and I'm going, oh damn, okay. Surprise!
Yeah,
look who snuck in. It's kind of like you're at the party, everybody, and all of a sudden you're like, "I get invited." It's like, yeah, okay.
I was trying to figure out Division 8. Like I said, I went to each conference, and granted, you've got 2 independents that are not Notre Dame. Let's put it that way: UConn and UMass. So I kind of just eliminated them, and I just went with the 5 conference, whoever was in the final game, whoever's in the championship for the conference. So that's why Liberty Tulane. If you do some research, you'll see 3 out of 1 conference because somebody is switching conferences this season. Shocking, I know.
Right.
But at least the others, it all just made sense. Which was very surprising to me. I thought I'd have to make a lot more hard decisions as to who went where. The only split was the state of North Carolina because 4 teams, and I had 2 spots in Division 7, and I had 2 spots in where's North Carolina State, Division 3.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
I mean, it all still makes sense when you look at it geographically. I mean, everything connects. Nothing is super far apart. I mean, except you've got your West Coast teams, which something's got to give there because somebody has to play them. Throwing the best I could do for Colorado and BYU was put them in the Kansas, Nebraska, Missouri conference. So,
Yeah,
call
because
them the
everything
Mountain
Division
Conference.
2 is so far west that, I mean, there really wasn't anything else you could really do.
Yeah, and they didn't go into any details as far as relegation promotion. At the same time, I wouldn't expect them to because you're not going to get into that until this is just a base to work off of. So until they have something that they feel they can finalize, why come up with those rules? Because they're going to change if you happen to change divisions or division sizes or however.
Right, because you could always have gone um Utah and Colorado and swap out, say, like UCLA and USC and switch it up that way too. I mean, there's a little bit, to tinker with a little bit there. But yeah, no, I mean, as a whole, and I think that's kind of the downside of everybody's like, oh, okay, you've got the old Pac-12 kind of back together again, and it's like the teams were like, well, we were looking to get, try something new, and but I mean, then again, it was, even with Michigan and Michigan State and Ohio State, when I was looking at your list and looking at that, I said, I said the scarily thing is you could have pulled Ohio State out of Division 1 and put them with Division 7.
Could have.
You totally
No,
could have.
no, no,
Sam's
no,
like,
no,
nope,
no,
don't even,
no.
nope, don't do it, nope.
You look. You can put them in. So you could put them in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't care if you want to put them in a division by themselves. Keep them away from me.
I will say that, I mean, I
Right,
tried
but the
very hard
geographical thing says that, hey, yeah, you could turn
once
around and go with Penn State and Pittsburgh,
once
Virginia and
one
Virginia Tech.
once one team from a state went in a division, I tried very hard to make sure all of them did. So again, North Carolina was the only state I couldn't do that. It just came down to it's a border between like 3 divisions. So the numbers just didn't work. But I think it makes a lot of sense. I think the proposal itself makes a lot of sense. And I completely understand I don't want players to unionize. I don't want this to be a CBA thing because how professional do we want to make this? And I I gotta say, I think we're headed that route anyway. I think I think that's inevitable at this point. It's just a matter of how much the NC2A fights, and obviously they're going to fight it till the end. But what end is that really going to be?
I mean,
It's going to be
especially
their
with
end.
yeah,
That's
well, the whole thing of legalizing up the NIL is what the downfall is here. I
well.
mean,
Remember, I mean, and NIL, it's got nothing to do. I mean, it has nothing to do with them playing football. NIL is a right you have. It's a right I have. It's a right Sam has. We all have the right to sell our name, image, and likeness. We just are not in a position. Sup, Kevin? We're just not in a position to do so because who wants us?
right.
I mean, we theoretically all could do it. So why is it that just because they're playing football, they can't? And again, that fight's been fought and it's been lost. And like I said, that first lawsuit I put up there, House versus NC2A, that's death. Because if they agree that 14,000 former players are due money based off of deals that they should have been able to make,
Boy,
where's that money coming from?
Yeah.
I mean, the NC2A is just gone because the schools aren't going to want to pony that up. Are you kidding me?
yeah, right.
Obviously, the biggest fight against anything like this is NC2A. College football playoff obviously doesn't because they just signed their mega deals for everything. conference commissioners, you're going to be pointless now if this goes into effect. So actual conference commissioners, bye. It's at the same time, though, we've said it before, NFL just needs to start up a minor league and it would replace college football, or NFL just needs to step in and do whatever. It's like, well, guess what? I guarantee you not just one person from the NFL has their fingerprints on this. This is not just Goodell's second lieutenant or first lieutenant. This is something they're looking at it. They're not taking possession of it, but they obviously have a model that works. So if you can come up with something that is close to that and make it work, and it's ready to go in case the worst happens.
And like I said, it's gonna be it's a big flip. We discussed it a little bit, Dave, of your quote unquote payment is you got a free ride, you got a scholarship to go to school.
Yeah.
For playing football.
Mm-hmm.
So now all of a sudden you're getting paid totally cash money, homie, instead of scholarship. And it's okay, now your scholarship's eliminated. And okay, but what about the person who can't afford to turn around and get to the college to play, even though they're the ones who would have technically received a scholarship?
Okay. So first and foremost, CBA that they come up with would cover wages for everybody from first string quarterback to, red shirt guys. Everybody would get some form of paycheck. At no point out of any of this did they say scholarships would be eliminated. You could receive free room and board. You could receive free textbooks. You could receive, not paying for credits for classes and get paid for hours worked on the football field. Because that's in essence what they're doing. They're saying the wages are going to be for hours worked on the practice field, on the football field, in the weight room. I would assume in meetings too, because it's all George, Sam, I'm sure you go to a training thing for work. It's like, am I getting paid?
Right.
It's a whole new mindset. And I understand a lot of reluctance. I'm like I said, I'm fascinated by it. It's kind of scary, frankly, because this is a whole new world and you screw this up and we got nothing left. So,
and then you literally have the commissioners running their own stuff and what they want to do.
Yeah. And to be fair, how many times the last 2-3 years have we said that the NC2A is basically doing nothing? They're doing nothing. They're letting divisions and set their own rules now. Then literally, what kind of governing body are you?
Yeah, you're not.
So, and at the same time, NC2A is doing it because they know they're trapped and they don't want to get trapped any further. But then again, why are you here? So, and obviously, I did not want to end the show on a negative note. I don't feel this is a negative. It's just fascinating to me that this has been brewing for 3 years now. And bravo on The Athletic for actually getting people to talk about this, because I've heard nothing about this till now. Especially if they actually presented this to the ACC in February, because not one word came out of that.
Well, and like you said too, that hey, this may still be something that they are going to sit down and it's like, hey, the Big Five, here, have a seat.
Yeah,
we got something we need to cover quickly, because if the NCAA does falter out, technically you are losing out your TV money because NCAA is the primary quote unquote backer getting you into there. So yeah, this it's super scary, but it has to evolve somehow.
Yeah, and I know for a fact NC2A is just they will fight this to the end. Obviously, they're going even if they lose a judgment, they will appeal it until
Right.
we could be looking 10 years down the road, which again, that's when media deals expire. So what the hell? But
And we also talked about, the Division 2 schools then. What do they do? And the Division 3 at that point.
yeah,
Everybody's literally going to fall apart, and it's like, hey, each division's going to need something to turn around and have. They're going to all be looking for a lifeline, and
yeah,
it looks like this is going to have to be something that they all have to look at.
it's definitely a scenario. Like I said, they did not touch FCS or anything below that at all in the article. So obviously not nearly as marketable as all of FBS put together. So I have no idea what would befall them. Again, they already go under different rules from FBS. So I have no idea. I don't know how that would go at all. But
No,
like I said,
it's
I
a good
came
point.
across that and I'm like, this has got to be a show topic because I ain't never seen nothing like this.
Nope. None of us have. Well, Sam, appreciate you hanging out late. I know it's super duper late for you, sir.
Always the fun. Real quickly, though, if I would not mind to, I have one last little bit of wrestling news I've just found out.
Shoot.
So, according to Wrestling Observer, Seth Rollins will be actually taking time off, and the hope for this morning is that he will only be out a minimum of 4 weeks.
For the knee.
I am surprised that he is not just telling them, like, look, I freaking hit my back's messed up, my knee's messed up. Can I just take like 2-3 months off and then come back? I don't think he needs to. Honestly, I really don't think him or, I mean, well, Roman's going to be on for the foreseeable future because I think, like I said earlier on, and I don't want to go over too much more time, but I personally think that Roman is less healthier than they are letting us on to know. Because I'm telling you, I watched Roman Reigns wrestle 6 months ago, and his body mass looked like he shrunk like 2 sizes. He looked really skinny to me this weekend. But yeah, so it looks like Rollins is just going to let that knee heal for a month and jump right back into the ship.
And Roman addressed it Saturday night in the press conference. I know I sent everybody the press conference stuff for last night. After every pay-per-view, Levesque has if you have not, search him up on Facebook to turn around and like follow him, and you will get the little indicators for all the press conference. He goes over, they have a full-on press conference with a few of the stars, and then Paul wraps it up at the end. Triple H goes over everything. He goes over the business numbers, attendance, the sponsorship. I mean, he goes over business details, and then he goes over, if there's like some injury stuff, he'll touch on it. But Roman himself, one of I think it was the UK reporter, hit him with the question on Saturday night and saying, we're hearing that your leukemia is, you have that you're still dealing with. And Roman addressed it as it took himself out of character. And he said that he is on a certain, the medication and the way that he has to now take it and to continue on a daily basis. And so he said, as far as everything else goes, he is still in remission. And that's exactly what he told everybody Saturday night. So that defunct that right off the get-go. And it seemed to agitate him. He was a little peeved, that it's just like, wow, really? That's the excuse, or that's something you're going to come up with? And he literally almost, it was just, he just looked right at the guy. I was like, no, dude, you're way off. No, nothing is wrong. This is just what is happening right now. So,
like, he doesn't want to have to answer those questions like every time that there's something going on. Like, he's already had to battle this since he was in his when did I forget? It was he got diagnosed when he was with the Vikings when he was still playing football. So early to mid 20s is probably when he got diagnosed with. I mean, this guy has to live with it the rest of his life. I don't think he wants to be asked about his leukemia every 5 freaking months when he's on a pay-per-view.
right.
Like, let the guy be.
Right. Because it spurred right back up during the latter end of COVID, and he was gone for a while and then he came back, and it was just like, okay, as far as they're concerned, he doesn't look. Like I said, I think Bruiser's got the pen in hand. I mean, Triple H knows what he's doing as far as
Absolutely.
what the next story is.
Oh, yeah.
I know, like he said, he's like, well, he figures Paul will be with The Rock or whatever. I mean, Paul can flip, and yes, I know Paul's good as a heel, and that's kind of his role. But even with if Roman and he goes back to being a babyface, Paul can still play the ass, even for a babyface, because he did it with Punk. He did it with Punk.
He did it with everybody.
He did it with, but primarily he did it with Punk, and people just clung to that. So like I said, I don't see Heyman leaving Roman. I see Heyman staying with him. I don't see him splitting away from him. And that second bloodline, though, yeah, it would make for a very good setup that you've got 2 bloodlines and you've got them in a feud, and then you could literally have them one-on-one and then kind of crossing back and forth eventually in different spots. But you can only do or only expect to see the brother versus brother. I mean, how often do you want to see it? I guess would be my question. I mean, you really wouldn't want to see it every week or every other week. You'd be looking, a couple months apart, that you do it. But even then,
the last words that I'm going to leave on this episode is, I don't care what amount of money WWE has to fork over to AEW to get him to show up for a few months for whatever WrestleMania this is. I need one last Shield moment between Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns. Whether it's a triple threat match between the 3 of them or them reuniting one more time. I don't care if they got to fork over $10 million, $5 million to Jon Moxley, and $5 million to Tony Khan. I need one last Shield renaissance in my life. I'm just going to leave it there.
The scary part was last night when that music hit.
Yes, I
nearly just went, You brought Moxley? You got to be kidding me. You brought Moxley. You really got to be kidding. And then it was like, no, Seth is in full gear. I'm going, good Lord. The man limped to the ring with the chair and slid in. And I even told Kelly, I said, oh, they're doing a payback moment. Okay.
Well, it was hilarious because you notice how much camera time was on The Rock looking into the crowd. That's probably how long it took Seth just to get over the freaking barrier. Because that man is literally the walking wounded right now. But I won't lie to you, George. I was the same way. I'm like, there is no way Jon Moxley's in this crowd right now.
Yeah.
Because the funny thing is, Moxley has been currently off of AEW for a few months now. He's been taking scheduled time off because he was supposed to take his big scheduled time off while CM Punk was still there, but Punk kept getting freaking injured, and Moxley had to keep coming back and saving the company because the head of the company is a I'm not just we'll be here
Right.
all night, so I'm just
Right.
gonna stop.
Right. No, like I said, I was totally gonna just like freak out going, man, it would have been almost as good as the Hardy Boys return. That like I said, nothing, I don't think anything's that really like that is like the top echelon. That's what everything's got to get compared to. It was gonna be that close if it was. It totally would have. And I would have just been like, wow, you have Moxley and Seth coming down the ramp. And it's like, oh, this could be good.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, okay. I'm glad I wasn't the only one thinking that. That was pretty.
Oh, my
funny.
whole house thought it. We had the four of us were watching it. Tyler thought it. We all thought it.
Okay. Yeah, it's about that time to roll. So, like I said, we got to definitely do an out of bounds on that bad boy because we know that there's a lot more in depth on that we can cover, and we'll have more time on that. We'll have to do that one for an out of bounds.
Hey,
Totally.
I mean, it's your overtime. Wait do you see the bill for me to put together that PowerPoint?
I was just gonna say, sending me the bill, ain't you? Sam, again, love having you on anytime. You and Tyler both, always more than welcome. Folks, check out Birds of the Gridiron 5:30 on Facebook. He's streaming it at the moment on Mondays, and just tune in. Sam usually posts something up for it, letting us know, and we appreciate you shouting us out too. So
Always.
awesome to have you on. Like I said, right now it's could be leaning. I don't want to jump the shark just yet, but I could possibly be around the evening of the draft. Could. I have been told that I have to make up stuff over the weekend because she knows that the draft is on her birthday. And she's just like, well, I already know that you wouldn't even be focused on it or anything else. And she just said, so you got to do something on the weekend. And I was like, so in other words, you're saying there's a chance I can do my shtick on Thursday. Okay. So yeah. There's a big chance.
Well, not to jump to conclusions, that will be then that we're looking at a 5-person episode that night. And that's going to be real fun.
No problem.
That's going to be a fun night then.
I will personally set you up a kick-ass background then.
Yeah. Okay then.
I will set up a kick-ass background for you then. Won't be a problem at all.
All righty.
Be more than happy to do it. For everybody who is tuning in, appreciate, and hopefully you guys like the new intro, the new backdrop for us, as well. Was fun designing this up and putting everything together. So Mr. Zolt almost looks froze there for a second. Don't do that.
No screen grabs. No screen grabs.
We appreciate everybody tuning in. And one of these days, Facebook and StreamYard apparently are going to have to get negotiations figured out for the link to our page instead of having me sharing it over there so far for the past 3 weeks or couple weeks. Still don't know what that's about, but I'll try. I'm gonna still have to try to figure that one out. It says, "Oh, try again in 2 weeks." Well, it's been 3, and it still doesn't want to play nice. So I'll have to figure out what the heck they're doing on their quote unquote policy, because everybody else can still do a broadcast right from their page. So I have no idea. We'll have to wait and see. We'll catch
That
you
is the
all.
great duel of 2024. George
Yeah,
versus Facebook.
right. We'll catch you on the flip side.